Hello and welcome to another episode of the Big Money Stylist podcast. I'm wearing the same hat that I was wearing last week. Just kidding. I'm recording two podcasts in one day. Mondays is our day. Mondays is like Monday meetings for me, and like I go like straight from the gym, like straight to podcast. I don't shower till like 2. It's gross.
Is your voice just so tired?
No, I'm used to it now, and I usually Mondays I like go home and I have to like meditate for like 15 minutes and like recharge, and then I'm good.
I just feel like I would need like 3 drinks. I would just need to keep loading up. I would need like some...
Well, no, like think about it like when you're at the salon. Like you're constantly like talking to clients and that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm like the drink whore. My assistants always joke with me because they're like, you're like the drink lady.
You have a coffee?
I always have a drink in my hand, and I always have like a sparkling water or like something like that. And even at our salon, we have a menu, and on the top of the menu it says Kiki's favorites because it's all my favorite drinks.
You're just always drinking?
I don't drink alcohol,
yeah,
so I'm
I
obsessed with like other drinks, like coffee, teas, matchas, all the things.
Oh, that's so funny. Everyone makes fun of me because I try to drink 3 to 4 liters of water a day, and
how many of those is that?
This is my 2nd liter for the day.
Holy shit!
I know. So, but it's funny because I put Crystal Light in them, and everyone's always like, "Do you have your pee jug with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
it does look like
I
pee.
sure do." Like, it looks
my gosh,
gross.
That's gross.
And
it matches your sweater.
Yeah, I know. I was like, actually, when I was pregnant, I had to do like tests all the time, and it does remind me of like peeing in a big jug. So that's gross.
Enough potty talk for today.
That's enough potty talk for today. Okay, guys. So Kiki is one of my trainers, and I met Kiki probably in 2019, 18.
Oh yeah, 2018 is when I learned.
Okay, so I remember you. So I think I've told you this story before, but like that was like the last really big public convention we did. And I just remember you're super tall and pretty, so you're hard to miss. You had short hair, like a bob at the time.
Yeah.
And the event, so it was like you come in, first come, first serve, like seating wise. You know, it wasn't like...
It was like a rush.
It was like a mad dash.
Yeah,
we would open the doors.
Stepping on each other.
Yeah, we'd open the doors and because everyone we're doing hair on stage, and there was like 300 artists in the room, and so everyone wanted to see. But even though we had cameras, but you wanted to be up close, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you were on the front row like every time. And like I said, you're tall and you're hard not to notice. But you were like you were there. You were in it. You were like if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna ask questions. Like you were hungry. Like
that's kind of how I do everything in life. Is like my dad always taught me, you don't do anything unless you go all in. But I think when I was at the convention, it was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought. It was the most expensive hair ticket. I'd actually never paid for an education class in my life up until that point because my mom owns a hair school. So I had always gotten free education, free vouchers, things like that, trips to New York. And I was like, oh my gosh, $1,000 for a ticket. Like, that's a lot. So if I'm going to go and I'm going to invest, and it was basically all the money I had at that point, just leading back to my story, I think I spent the last couple $100 in my account to go to this. Oh, wow. So I was like, if I'm going, I got to be at the front, and I've got to commit and go all in because this is kind of like my last resort.
Yeah. So. How long have you been doing hair?
So I think it's been maybe 8 years.
Okay.
I don't know. I say I've been doing hair for like 5 years, for like 10 years. So
I know,
I think
right?
It's been like 8. I don't know.
I kept telling people 10 years, and now I'm like at past the 20 mark, but I don't say it's been like 22 years, but I don't talk about it. I just like...
To a certain point, you kind of just you just forget. It just feels like you've been doing hair forever your whole life.
I'm like, I've literally been doing hair half of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it is what it is. So when you came to convention, were you already behind the chair doing hair, right?
Yeah. So I had a crazy story. I was doing hair already for like 5 or 6 years, and then I moved to Los Angeles. And Los Angeles, in my mind, was like the golden ticket. Like if I moved to LA,
you made it.
I can make it there, right? And I felt like success was... it was like it just felt like it would have come easier, and it didn't. And I kind of spent my whole life savings there the first 8 or 9, 10 months, and I kind of drained everything. And I was working at a hair school just trying to make ends meet. And I felt like I was good enough to build a clientele, but I really wasn't good enough. And everyone told me in LA, it's all about who you know. You know, you got to know somebody, you got to assist someone who's famous, and that's really how you get your foot in the door. And I was like, I refuse to admit,
But when you need money right then, you can't wait till you find a famous person that's going to put you on the spotlight. You're like, I need money.
You got to assist them for like 2 years. And then I just couldn't do that.
You don't have time to put in your time. Yeah.
Right. So I knew I have to get money and I need it now. And my husband and I at the time were struggling with infertility, and we had been for years. And I knew that I wasn't going to make the kind of money to pay for fertility treatments being an assistant and working at a hair school. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try and do something that nobody's doing here, which was NBR at the time. And I had a friend that worked at your salon at that time, and she told me like, hey, yeah, like nobody's doing NBR in LA. And I was like, there's got to be at least like a couple of people. It's like the extension capital of the world. So I was like, you know what? I'm desperate at this time. And if you would have told me I would have been a hair extension specialist and I owned a top extension salon in Los Angeles,
You've been like, no.
I would have been like, no, you're freaking crazy. Like this is not it. So,
but you did it so fast. Like you did it so fast. Like from going, I mean, 2018, a struggling artist that had barely $1,000 to pay for a ticket to like, I mean, yeah, like most apprentice programs or assisting somebody who does celebrity hair is like a 2-year program minimum, right?
I think it was so emotional for me. I was in such an emotional place of hurt and like, my self-esteem was so low, and I found this tribe that was like, hey, you can do this. Like, I remember seeing the girls sit on stage and be like, yeah, I made this much this year. And another girl was like, yeah, I made like $300,000.
Like, sign me up for that.
Like, you're in Oklahoma and you made $300,000. Like, how is that even possible? And so I knew, I was like, it's no excuse for me being here in this city to not be able to be successful in this. So that was kind of my fuel. Like, if I can do it here, then anybody can do it.
Well, it's funny because that was one of my pitches for students. I was like, make celebrity pay without living in LA.
And that's what you said at convention.
Yeah.
And that was like the light bulb moment for me where I was like, hey.
You're like, wait a minute.
Where Garrett said something like, Danielle has moved multiple times and she was able to build her clientele back up in just a matter of 3 months. And I was like, bitch, what? It's taken me almost a year and I don't even have any clients. Like, I'm struggling over here.
How come you didn't have any clients in LA at the time? Was it just because you were going off of everything the industry teaches where it's like sit and wait and do all the things? And it's really a matter of like believing in yourself and going after it. You know what I mean?
Also, it was that. And then I got into this place where, I wasn't getting traction. So then I kind of lost confidence. And then I stopped posting on Instagram and I was a little bit invisible.
Yeah.
And then I started blaming people and I was like, it's them. Like, they're not giving me clients. And then I realized, you know what? It's actually me. And I don't have a niche and I don't have value. So who do I think I am for them to give me clients and for me to just work in a top salon and expect this?
Expect it. Yeah, you got to kind of come 50%. You got to do your part. So when you started implementing MBR into your book of business, you were at a commissioned salon. Talk to me. How did that work? Because I know we have a lot of artists that come inside the academy and they're like, okay, I'm paying for my own education, but I'm at a commissioned salon. Like, how do I work this out with the owner? Right? So what did you do?
Yeah, it was like kind of just a weird dynamic that I felt like was very uncharted territory. I felt like I had to, and I feel like this is how it has to be with every person who's in a commission salon. When you start doing things differently or you want to offer something different, I feel like you just have to kind of come with a conversation and you have to come with a plan and you have to come with confidence. And I did that with the owner. I was like, hey, like, I'm learning this thing, like I'm doing it whether you like it or not. Like this is what I'm doing. And I was dreading his response. I thought he was going to just not be supportive.
Because he's a pretty
he was a pretty well-known guy. Like he did like the first lady's hair. So, you know, it's like people know him.
Yeah.
And you know, he was like, great, cool. Like do whatever you want.
Really?
Like, yeah, he was kind of just like cool about it. And I worked this story up in my head that
he's going to say no and not support.
Yeah, I mean,
but you came to him with like kind of like a business proposal,
totally,
right? And you were like, "Hey, this makes sense."
And I was like, "Hey, like I'm going to buy the hair. I'm going to charge this. Like I'm going to do the consultations, and like you don't really have to do anything. It's just going to bring you more revenue." So here we go.
Yeah, you're like, you have nothing to lose. You're just going to make more money.
I think there was like a point where he was like, "Why are you?" When in the beginning, when it was taking me so long to do my first clients, I think he didn't see the vision, and he was like, "You're taking so long on these people, and you're only charging them this much." Like.
But you also were doing color. I know in a lot of salons in LA, it's like they have a colorist and then they have somebody who does the extensions. And we teach like you should do it all, right? And I enjoy doing it all. I want to have ownership of that project start to finish kind of thing.
I think that's a lot of responsibility too that like most artists don't get credit for because in Los Angeles everyone compartmentalizes and they just do one thing. And you're almost looked at like the circus or like a joke if you do everything.
Really?
100%.
How funny.
So I still tell my girls, I'm like, it is a big responsibility to be able to do everything from start to finish and do it well.
And do it well,
and especially in LA because everyone has such a high standard because everybody just does like one type of haircut all day long.
I will tell you though, I've had so many clients come down to us in Laguna Beach from LA that have said things like, I don't like going to 10 different people.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a two-day project. They're
Totally.
like, I have to go to this person for my
extensions
color,
especially.
and then I have to go to this person the next day, or at least or they at least tell me it's like an all day thing.
Yeah. So if
know?
you can get the client in your chair and you can get them to trust you and do that, they're a lifer.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially
they
in our
prefer
city.
that.
Yeah, because they're like, wait, you can like do my hair in 3 to 4 hours, and you can do the color, the install,
and
the
you
cut,
can do all
the
of it.
style,
You're good at all of it.
and you're good at all of it. Like it's like a dream come true to them, and they don't have to like play musical chairs within the salon. They can sit in one chair the whole time. And then they have somebody make them a drink, and we order them food. They're like, this is amazing. Insane.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of the artists, I always say this, like, it's cool in LA because a lot of the artists, they do treat themselves like the prize, which is what we teach in our trainings with our students. Like, you're the prize, you know, but sometimes it's a little too far, in my opinion. In LA, it's almost like they treat the clients like crap sometimes, where they're like making them sit on a bar stool.
Yeah.
And
it's hard too when like you're paying thousands of dollars for hair extensions and there's just it's just the experience is not there, right?
Yeah, it's all about the experience for the clients. That's what I found. It's like if you can do things faster and you can do it just as good, I'll pay you double.
But that's what's kind of accepted in LA and places, and that's what's been taught in our industry. And I have always loved doing color. Like the minute I went to Paul Mitchell School, and I didn't do extensions in the beginning of my career. They were very looked down on. It was like, oh, extensions don't look good. They ruin people's hair. Don't do extensions. So I became I was very much a colorist, and I like cutting, and that was my niche. And then I wanted hair extensions for my own hair. So I figured out a good way of doing hair extensions. And then I was like, okay, well, now I got to elevate this brand of hand-tied hair, because hand-tied hair was looked at as like cheap and crappy and that kind of thing. And it really came down to like, okay, the client, like if I'm a client, I would much rather pay more and get a better outcome in a shorter period of time, right? So that's kind of how I started teaching it. And I honestly think like, yeah, like I would be nervous to go to somebody who's doing my color and then just somebody else who's like going to swatch the extensions and put it in. Like
totally.
As a client, I was like, I would much rather have it all done in one time period.
Yeah, and I think that it can be done, but I think that's why sometimes you see people who are on TV or film. We are living within the film industry there, and you see things, and you're like, if you're a hairdresser, you know, you're nodding your head with me. You're like, why did their hair
look so scary?
What is going on? Like, who did that? But it's probably because there was
multiple
so many
hands
people.
in there.
There was multiple hands, and I always tell my clients this. I'm like, we understand formulation. We understand a formulation of the extensions has to be different than on the hair.
It's customized start to finish.
It's just scary. So it can be done, but usually it takes twice as long or 3 times as long. And then it's like, is that really about the benefit for the client?
Yeah, no, like the clients don't love it. So okay, so you started in this commission salon, and you started to pick up fast. It doesn't seem fast, but it really is.
Yeah,
like,
and it didn't seem fast at the time.
And at the time, that's how it always goes. And then all of a sudden, like 5 years goes by, and you're like, you look at the person you became in even 3 years, and you're like, holy shit, like that, like a lot happened, even though it seems like slow in times. You know what I mean? So you start picking up business. You're doing all MBR. Are people noticing like what's going on at the salon? All of a sudden, they're like, oh.
Yes and no. I feel like people just saw me when I was the Kiki sitting on the couch, and a lot of those people remained at that salon, and so I'm not sure if they saw me getting busy, because everyone's just invested in themselves and doing what they're doing, right? But 2019 was like my period of growth. That was my biggest year of growth. I remember going to quarter events and being like, okay, if I can just get 10 NBR clients. Yeah. Okay, if I can just get 20. And then I remember talking to a woman in like the second quarter that was like, I have 80 NBR clients. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Are you freaking kidding me? How did you even get that many NBR clients? And now, like, Cashmere has hundreds of NBR clients, but it was like this period where I was just like putting my head down, setting those targets, doing them, whether people noticed me on the outside or not. Honestly, I didn't
tunnel
care.
Vision,
I was so tunnel vision because it was so emotional for me, and I just wanted to prove everybody wrong. And, you know, when you move to a new city and you start over, you have a lot of back talk. And you've had this, I'm sure, where it's like people are like, you know, every time
it's like, who does she think she is? And you're like, I don't care who you think I am. I need to make money.
And I was flying back to Utah to make it work for a full year. Every, 7 weeks, I had a full book of NBR in Utah. That's how I started building my Instagram.
Yeah.
So I was just basically making everybody think that I was doing NBR in California, but I was really doing it in Utah.
I didn't know that.
And I was catfishing everybody.
That's actually how I started to build my brand. I moved from Utah to Arizona, and I had no clients. And I was like, well, and I'd fly back once a month, and I'd fit in as many clients as I could, but I'd only advertise in Arizona.
Yes.
But I was working in Utah.
That's exactly what I did.
Because you do what you got to do.
So I don't think the people in the salon knew until it exploded all of a sudden, and they were like, whoa, what the heck? But I needed that marketing content. I needed those pictures, and I had a business in Utah prior, and every time I would go back to Utah, people would be like, oh, did did she move back? Like,
yeah.
did she make it, or is she moving? Like, and people still ask me to this day. They still DM me and say, "Are you moving back? Like, are you doing hair anymore?" And I'm like,
yeah, fly to LA, and I'll
definitely
do your hair.
not.
I'll do your hair in LA.
I know it's only like an hour flight.
So you picked. Okay, so you started to pick up momentum, and then what made you want to open your own space?
I just got to the point because in my commission salon, I was working in one chair. Did you know that? I was in one chair.
Really?
I was in one chair until 2020,
like shuffling around.
2021.
Okay.
And we opened in April of 2021, and I had 2 assistants, and I was in one chair, and I could barely even move to another chair because we were so booked at that salon all the time.
Yeah.
And I just was like, and COVID happened, and it allowed me to be able to kind of just like
you built
save
a
money.
salon in 2020.
Yeah, and I was pregnant, and I opened my salon the month I had the baby, and it was during COVID.
Wow.
So I was like postpartum, and I came back to work about 6 weeks later because my salon was done.
Were you panicking a little bit?
No, because I had so much money
I
saved.
was going to say, you were smart. You just put your head down and you only did MBR. And
I looked for properties for like a full year, and I had so much money saved that I was able to just pay for the salon in cash and just like take my leave, take my, maternity leave, and then just like come back. And it was like, timing is everything.
It was probably almost nice because you were pregnant during that time. I know you have scary, awful pregnancies.
Oh, yeah.
And
you do
probably,
too.
I do too. But it probably allows you to like slow down, right? Even though like in 2020, because it was like, we couldn't, we kind of couldn't take as many clients.
I was still working and doing house calls like 4 or 5 days a week. So not really. But
No,
I was able to make a
really?
lot of money. I was able to make a lot of money. So that was good.
Yeah.
But I never want to go back to doing house calls ever again. I can't do that. Because I just did so many of them.
I can't do kitchen hair ever.
Yeah,
It's bad. I can't even I feel like my work quality is not even there.
No, it was really hard. We would do full installs at least once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Like for months and years we were doing that because we were in LA. But we just opened it straight up, and I went from a 1 chair to 5 chairs and 3 sinks and just like a massive space with like everything.
So you have 5 chairs right now. And how many artists do you have working with you?
There's 3 of us, and we're all licensed.
Okay.
And then I'm currently looking for more assistants.
Cool.
I'm not like the kind of person that, I think we've had this conversation where I'm like not trying to grow super big.
Yeah. You got to look at your numbers. There's no reason. I was talking to Luz about this because I was like, it's so funny because in our industry, it's taught like you need to have these massive salons, but that there are some that are successful, but also that comes with like more responsibility. And overhead. Yeah. And I'm like, even if I can barely, like when I was more managing my salon, I was like, I can't handle the drama and the babysitting. Like I was just like, I had salon walkouts. You know what I mean? I was like, this is rough. I have no desire to expand, and it wasn't profitable for me.
Yeah,
you know
and I really enjoy our team. We're kind of like more sisters, and we're all in our 30s, and we're just like, like loving life and like loving working, and we don't have drama. So I think it's just
I feel like
nice.
you guys don't offer other services, right?
No.
Yeah.
I allow the assistants to do color only when they're starting.
Yeah, just to kind of give them, it gives them experience and that kind of thing. It's funny because I feel like you've kind of modeled similar to what I do at my salon, and it really breaks the mold in our industry because we're taught that you have to shuffle them in, or compartmentalize all your services, and it really it's not enjoyable to do it that way. I don't think the clients necessarily enjoy it, and it's not more profitable. You know what I mean?
No, and I would say we were just saying this, but a client will pay you double for you to do it faster and also to not double book you.
And yes, exactly.
So I say this a lot on my Instagram where I'm like, we don't double book. We overlap. But like, I'm not going to work on somebody and bounce back and forth on you because I don't think that's fair to you if you're paying me a certain amount. And then I don't want to do 2 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't
want to
do that. It's annoying for me. So like, let's just all win. Let's come out of this like win. And then we'll just, I'm a poo-poo princess. I start at 10 a.m. and I leave at 6.
Nice.
And I do 2 clients a day.
Yeah.
And I tell my clients that. I'm like, we take a 10 a.m. and a 2 p.m. and that's how I do all my girls.
That's how I do it. And it's more enjoyable. I used to do.
We love it.
I only will take 2 now. Actually, now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I just want 1.
Yeah, 1 is great. But then 1 is kind of dangerous because then you spend like too much time.
I have found that. Like recently, I'll be like, Crystal,
I
told Crystal I retired, but then I was like, if you want to put me on the books, that's fine because I still love doing hair. But then I'll have like 1 client, and then I'm like, why did that client? I can usually do it in 3.5 hours. I'm like, why did it take me 5 hours?
Because you just dawdle.
I'm literally like,
I hate that.
Yeah, two's a good rhythm.
But because you got that fire in your pants to finish for the next one.
Yeah, you're like, I got a little pressure under my belt. But yeah, it's so crazy. Like I love hearing your story specifically. I love hearing other people's stories in our industry, and I feel like in the hair industry, it's like I always say, look at the outcome that you're looking for and reverse engineer. What does that look like to get there, right? For you, like you said, like I only want to do 2 clients. Does that mean you're making less money? Absolutely not. I only want to do MBR and I want a little bit smaller salon. You know what I mean? You have to really look at of your own sanity and like that. You can't put a price on that, right? Like your own sanity, and then also like the facts. Like the facts.
And it's a privilege to have this type of like job in our industry, right? I mean, I was just teaching in class to the students. I hate when hairstylists bitch about working over the holidays, working overtime, not making enough money.
That to yourself.
And I'm like, you're doing that. But then we're also having this conversation of it's a privilege to be here. And we're also doing the things that a lot of the people in our industry don't want to do. They don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to market every day. They don't want to find a niche. They want to be a victim. And we're doing the things that are hard. And you need to just take responsibility for those things and just do them. And then it will reward you in the end. So you can't go from doing 6 clients a day to working 2 clients a day, like overnight. You have to find a niche. You have to create value in yourself, and then you can get there, but you can't just do it overnight.
Yeah, I always say your value has to match like what you're charging, right? Otherwise, you're going to have the kind of the churn and burn. Like, yeah, anybody can put a post on Instagram, but like you want clients that are like coming back. And I think referrals are kind of lost in our industry. It's like just market on social media, which is important. But I love when a really good client gives me a referral because I love that. I'm like, it's such an easy sell. Like you already know you like your friend's hair. You're probably cool like your friend. You know what I mean? So it's like I think the referral game is lost, and that really comes down to like how good is your experience inside of your salon. But I know we're running short on time. I feel like I told you, I'm like, we always go over. And Kiki's actually here at my training facility teaching one of our classes. We have an academy with just under 500 students in there right now. We are going to have some more public events available next year. This year we were kind of like really trying to reserve a lot of our time for the academy. We did some virtual experiences and things like that. But if this message is speaking to you and you're like, I am kind of burnt out behind the chair and I'm successful, but I kind of hate my job. Well, come join us, crazy ladies, and we'll show you a different path to do things. You can go to mbr.education to find out more information on Natural Beauty Rose. And again, we kind of focus on mindset, business, marketing, sales, and we use the tool and the craft of Natural Beauty Rose to really fill your heart and your bank account.
Yeah, your bank account.
Your bank account, which fills your heart and makes your clients happy. So you guys, thank you, Kiki, for coming on and sharing your story. You guys can check her out at Cashmere Salon. She is located you're in West Hollywood?
Cashmere Extensions on Instagram, and we're in West Hollywood.
Okay, awesome. I mean, I forgot to ask Luz. I'm like, give yourself a plug, and I forgot to ask her. I'm going to have to like go back and promote her. But you guys, thank you so much for listening. We come out with a podcast every Tuesday, so share it with your friends and tune in every week for a new story or a new message specifically relating inside of the hair industry. All right, you guys, we will see you next week. Bye.